Welcome to SDH's coverage of the USL-W playoffs. We are now in the postseason, and in this particular program, we'll focus on the Southern Conference 4 that are remaining, but we'll go through all the matchups and let you know what's going on as we get you ready for the activity as the USL-W tries to determine a national title. So down to the final 16, Eastern Conference. We're going to go ahead and give you the schedules and where to go watch. Obviously, go to uslwleague.com if you are in the market and want to purchase tickets and be a part of the determination at 4 host sites across the country: Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, Cary, North Carolina, Flint, Michigan, and in Northern California. 16 teams now in your single elimination bracket. 10 division titles, 6 wild cards based on points. So here we go. Eastern Conference, Mountain View Middle School, Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Morris Elite SC hosting the Long Island Rough Riders, and that is Friday at 3 o'clock, 7 o'clock, Eagle FC and Christos. That's at 7. That determines your Eastern Conference. That's your Eastern Conference Final Four. Central Conference at Kettering's Atwood Stadium in Flint, Michigan. Minnesota Aurora on the road goes and takes on Chicago City SC. That is Thursday afternoon at 3, 7 o'clock, Indy 11, and host Flint City AFC will determine the Central Conference winners. Western Conference at Skyline College in Northern California. 3:30 Eastern Time Friday afternoon, San Francisco Glens and Oakland Soul, followed by 10 o'clock Eastern Time at Davis Legacy Field, Ole Town FC and California Storm. That gets you through the 3. The one we're going to focus on here is in the Southern Conference. Tampa Bay United, this is at Wake Med Soccer Park, field number 2, Cary, North Carolina, Thursday and Saturday. Tampa Bay United and Tennessee SC. That is going to be your early round match at 5 o'clock, followed by North Carolina Courage U23s and FC Miami City. Once again, that one is at 7 o'clock in the early evening. Tampa Bay United, 36 points on the year, ran the table, 12-0, 43 goals for, only 1 allowed in the Southeast Division. FC Miami City had 28 points, finishing with a record of 9-2-1, 28 points, 28 goals scored, only 10 allowed for their goal difference. Also, when you look at the activity in the Southern Conference, and you get to see how things have completely and totally just evolved. All of the teams that were competing in the South Atlantic Division, North Carolina Courage finished with a record of 11-0-1 and a 46 goals scored, 7 allowed run. Goal difference of plus 39, finishing with 34 points in 12 matches, only 1 tie on the season. No losses for North Carolina Courage. They would be 12 points clear of Asheville City, who finished second with 22 points and a record of 7-4-1. The South Central Division came down to the final day. Tennessee SC, who had lost their first 2 matches of the season, turned around and went unbeaten in their last 10, going 8-0-2, knocking off Southern Soccer Academy on the last day to go over Chattanooga Red Wolves and take the South Central Division. Tennessee SC finishing with a record of 8-2-2 at 26 points. Red Wolves finishing with a record of 8-3-1 at 25 points. So that was how Tennessee SC made it in out of the South Central. That was how North Carolina Courage made it out of the South Atlantic Division. So, as we get you ready for the matchups, as North Carolina Courage gets you ready for hosting the Southern Conference title game, the USL-W head coach for the Courage, Willie Davis, actually had enough time to breathe and step out of meetings and preps and everything, and we caught up with Coach Davis to find out about the season for North Carolina Courage USL-W, expectations for the weekend, and what he's thinking about as they head in to this Final Four. When you look back at the regular season, what sticks out in your mind about the successes that you had there in winning the conference?
I think the big one for us would be consistency. Whereas last year, we fell a bit short. We finished second place to Greenville, who I thought Greenville was the most consistent team last year. And this year we were just far more consistent. We didn't we drew one game all season, where last year I think we drew 3 or 4. And that, that puts you off the pace when you're chasing somebody who's really running. Consistency from the entire team of goal scoring. We didn't rely on any one person, which was great. So for me, I guess the key word would be consistency.
And at the same time, you mentioned the goals scored. You averaged about 4 goals a match, just on average in the division. But you only gave up 7 goals the entire year, and I think that speaks to what you were able to do defensively, because you look at the other teams there in the division. Next most stingy defense was Asheville City, and they ended up giving up a little over a goal a match, where you only gave up on average a little over a half a goal a match. It speaks a lot to your defense and getting something done pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we were pretty consistent. And I'll tell you what, John, we're lucky from the fact that I returned players from last year. Not only that, I returned players that I've probably had some time coaching in the past, because we have quite a few kids from our youth program. Probably 92% of our players are alumni, or current youth players that play for us. And, my whole point behind that is that in our starting back line, we talk defense, obviously we talk about the whole team, but when you think about just our back line from goalkeeper to the back four, I've been lucky enough to coach or have those kids come out of our program, out of our Courage program, youth program. So, they know the way we want to play, they know how we want to do things. And, we were just able to put it together a little bit more consistently this year.
What's it like to have that kind of a rhythm from absolute zero? Because you've got a lot of teams out there across USLW that are sitting there and they're trying to figure things out on the fly, and they might get to game 3 or game 4 before they hit full song. You get that added advantage. What's that like to see that come from match week 1?
Oh, it's great. I mean, it makes it where you're not starting at zero. I mean, you're starting with a foot up straight away, because a lot of the kids, even though understandably they are all playing in different programs collegiately, and some of them are youth players, like I said, they grew up, for the most part, the majority of them playing in the Courage youth system. So, we don't deviate a lot from what we're trying to do as a youth program. And, we put it together in our 23s, and you can see it up to the way our full women team play. There's a lot of similarities. So it's kind of what you said. We don't start from zero most of the time. And, we get lucky with that, because we just have so many kids that kind of know our Courage way, if you want to call it that.
So for someone who hasn't had the chance to catch any of your matches on whatever media they want to funnel into to watch, if you and I were sitting in the TV booth at Cary, and I'm doing play-by-play and you're doing color, the show starts, you get the title card over the stadium there, and it's North Carolina Courage versus insert team here. Who would you have in the spot shadow for folks who haven't had the chance to see you play this year? Who are some of those early names that folks would be gravitating toward when they watch you for the first time this weekend?
And first, probably one of our anchors, Laurel Ansborough, who plays in the back for us. Again, another youth product that's come through the Courage system. Currently plays at Wake Forest University, and has been just a solid center back for us. And I go through our spine. We call her Brownie, but Amelia Brown, who is another youth product, plays at the University of Minnesota, and played a majority of our games as our defensive midfielder, sometimes filled in as center back as well. And then, just going straight through the spine again. We won't have her, but Maggie Graham, who is a Duke player, we won't have her for tomorrow's match. Maggie Graham's played for us for the last 2 years, and for some who may know her last name, her sister played for us last year and actually got drafted into the NWSL, Delaney. And then you go in through the middle, another youth graduate from alumni for us, Isabella Brown, who's the older sister of Amelia Brown, who primarily plays as our number 9 as our center forward. So that's a spine. And then, our goalkeepers, I mean, we have Mackenzie Smith, who is another youth product for us, who plays at West Virginia, and A couple of other keepers, Emmy Allen, who's another youth product who plays at UNC, and Leah Freeman, who kind of came in late with us because she came back from injury, but she's a Duke. She'll be at Duke this year, transferring from the Pac-10, who has come in and done some good things for us as well. So that's kind of our spine. I think people will gravitate towards seeing those players, but then you look at Mia Lario, who is one of our leading scorers, incoming freshman at UNC, and Emily Moxley, who's a fifth-year senior at UNC, who is another one of our leading scorers. So those are probably the names that'll stick out.
It didn't happen until Math and Tennessee gets their win against SSA. They turned into team number 4, going up over Red Wolves SC to become team number 4 for this full bracket here in the Southern Conference. When it comes to study hall, you're going up against FC Miami City. What has study hall been like cramming for this particular test, and how much space do you give assistants and other folks that are attached to you checking on Tampa Bay United and Tennessee SC, so on that quick turn you're not caught napping if you're chasing after the South Championship? What's study hall been like this week, getting ready for obviously that first match, but then having the possibility and probability of a quick turn?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, the quick crunch of it. It's I actually just got back from San Diego on Saturday from our youth teams were playing in national playoffs there, so that was a long 9 or 10 days. And while I was there, the last couple of days, I found out that we were hosting. So that was a beautiful news for us, obviously, because I didn't want to get back from San Diego and end up in Florida, in the next few days. Yeah, I mean, the minute we found out, the beauty of nowadays is there's no shortages of information out there. I am sure, I'm almost 100% sure that Miami will come in knowing how we play. You mentioned Asheville City early on, and I mentioned Greenville. When we played both of those teams, Asheville the second time around and Greenville the first time, you could tell they'd done their homework. They were playing us a certain way. It took us a little while to sort it out, but we did eventually. And I would assume Miami is going to do the same by watching video and what have you. I've had the chance to watch Miami, on video a couple games, and one being their game against Tampa, which was later in the season, which is good because I feel like the early season games don't really hold enough water. So, we'll do that. And the beauty of hosting is we'll play second. We'll get to kind of see what they look like, those two teams. It'd be nice if they go to some overtime and stuff like that. I'd love that. But my assistant, Nick Holt, who's been great, he took care of things while I was in San Diego, finished the season off at a really high note for us. He's studying video as well. I'm studying video. I've talked to a few people about Miami first and foremost, and we'll get a look at Tennessee and Tampa live, on Thursday.
So back on July 1st, it was the swan song for the regular season, no pun intended. 5-0 winners over Swan City, 3-0 at the break. Here's your first half highlights, courtesy once again of our friends at 11 Sports and USL-W.
From the box, but here comes Miami City right back here on the charge here, near the top of the box, 18. Now send it over to Jody Smith here. Jody Smith, big crossover into the box area. And there's a shot and a goal by FC Miami. And they're going to take an early lead here. So FC Miami City strikes first here. They'll take another look at it. And that's Claudio Rodriguez there from the big cross by Jody Smith. And so FC Miami City, the City Girls, take a 1-0 lead here in the early going, right around the 7th minute mark. So Swan City, they'll have to overcome an early deficit here. There's a ball there. Jody's got to control it. And Jody breaks through right in the 18 and takes a shot right in the near side, or left side, rather. And just like that, FC Miami City is up 2-0 on Swan City. Avery sending it 50-50 ball there, headed forward here by Miami. There's a nice through ball coming down the right side. Into the box. Coming out of the goal is Avery. Can Jody Smith get to it? Doesn't need to as the ball goes in. Goal number 3 for FC Miami City. Right on the far side corner. Here's another look. Avery just came out, just hesitated a little bit too much, I think. And I think that cost her, as they were able to get that shot away And Jody Smith would have been there for any cleanup that needed to be done. But 3-0 is the score now. Here at the 20th minute now. And Miami City is in complete control of this match so far.
FC Miami City would score 2 more in the second half to win 5-0 over Swan City in their last regular season match of the year. And so when you have the scorers that you have available to you in the match in and of itself, you get a brace in very short order from Claudia Caglianone. Obviously, a lot of folks are drawn to her when it comes to the scoring output for FC Miami City. Definitely in the spot shadow for anybody chasing after FC Miami City so far this season. So that's your rundown of the Southern Conference. Once again, Tampa Bay United, Tennessee SC at 5. North Carolina Courage, U23s, and FC Miami City coming up at 7 o'clock on your Thursday. Thanks to the North Carolina Courage for letting us take a couple of minutes with their head coach as they get ready to chase after the Southern Conference title this weekend. We'll have reports about everything that went around in USLW next week when we find out who the Final Four are. If you are in market and can catch up, please do. Fantastic soccer here involved with the USLW as they determine a champ here in 2023. If not, then follow along on local providers and along social media and on 11 Sports. And keep an eye on what's going on as the USL determines a title there once again here in 2023. For everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. Thanks for hanging out with us as we cover the playoffs and the postseason now underway in USLW.